Hello everyone, my name is David Macphail. I'm a writer of books and I'm going to read to you from a book that I wrote which is called Yeti on the Loose. It's a book that was illustrated by a man called Lawrence Mann, and I wrote it about a Yeti who goes on the loose, really. And I'm going to start from chapter 1, and here it is. Chapter 1. Great Uncle Jeremy was back from Nepal for the first time in 10 years. Brian and Pippa Snodgrass and their mum and dad waved from the front door as his taxi appeared round the corner. Dad had a huge fake grin plastered across his face. "Keep smiling," he said. "Remember, no matter what he does or says, you must be nice to him. It's his house we're living in." Mum and Dad had agreed to house sit for him when he first went away, and they'd been here ever since. "We never thought he'd come back," said Mum through gritted teeth. "He could at least have had the decency to get eaten by something while he was out there." A huge, ornate trunk was stuffed into the taxi's boot. It weighed down the whole back end of the car. The front wheels were hardly even touching the ground. Great Uncle Jeremy bulged out of the window, waving back at them with his stick. "Ahoy there!" He flung open the door, stepped out of the car and bowed, flourishing a wide-brimmed hat with a leopard skin trim. He looked every inch the adventurer, and there were rather a lot of inches. With starey eyes, wild red hair and a thick overhanging brow, there was something of the caveman about him. Which wasn't surprising. The caveman look was something that ran in the Snodgrass family. But Great Uncle Jeremy had the scariest eyes Brian had ever seen. As for the eyebrows, small rodents could nest in them, and if it wasn't for the monocle and the fact he was talking, he could have been mistaken for an orangutan in a safari suit. He twiddled his long moustache, fixed his monocle in place, and ogled the family suspiciously. "So, you're the spongers who've been living in my house all these years. Bah! Look at you! I've seen more life in a Sherpa's sock." Mum lunged at him. She had never liked the man, and now Brian could see why. Dad held her back, forcing out another fake laugh. There, dear. Don't get so excited. You can hug him later. Welcome, dear uncle." Dad tried to take the man by the arm and lead him inside, but Great Uncle Jeremy shrugged him off, jabbing his cane at the two children. "Who are these two pygmies?" Brian coughed. "I'm Brian." "Brian, eh?" said Great Uncle Jeremy. "What an average name. And what do you want to be when you grow up, huh? An explorer like me?" No, actually, I want to be an inventor," said Brian. Although he wasn't sure he'd be a very good inventor. His past inventions included a fly escalator, a biscuit crumb collector, and a rat magnetizer. His parents had barely forgiven him for that last one. "Inventor indeed," snorted Great Uncle Jeremy. "Oh, molery monsoons, I've seen more invention at a Darjeeling stout." With that, he moved over to Brian's sister. She sucked her thumb and hid behind Mum. As he bent over her, "What about you, you little weasel? What do you want to be?" Probably a hippie, thought Brian, looking at her curly mane of hair and her Save the Rainforest t-shirt. But she wouldn't answer. She just hid further behind Mother's skirt. "Never mind them," said Dad, and he pushed Brian and Pippa out of the way. "Come inside, dear uncle. We'll make you a cup of tea." "I know what I'd like to put in his tea," Mum muttered. "Very good." Great Uncle Jeremy turned to the taxi driver, a sad, pathetic-looking man. "You there! Stop slouching! Carry my trunk into the house, there's a good fellow." The poor man nearly had a heart attack dragging it up the path. "What have you got in here? A gorilla?" he gasped. Now it was Great Uncle Jeremy who laughed nervously. "Ha ha! Gorilla indeed!" The taxi driver lugged the chest into the hall. Then he finally got his breath back and stood around, waiting. "Ahem," he coughed. "Ah, of course, a tip," said Great Uncle Jeremy. He fished inside his coat pocket. The taxi driver's eyes gleamed. Great Uncle Jeremy whipped something out. a 2-foot long stuffed ferret. Or rather, a badly stuffed ferret. Its tongue was hanging out, and both its beady eyes were looking in opposite directions. Then he whacked it onto the man's outstretched palm. The taxi driver choked, looking down at the ferret's sad remains. What do you call this? A Himalayan ferret. Now be gone with you, my man. An Himalayan what? Said the taxi driver. You cheeky old git. I nearly broke my back lifting that great horrible trunk in here. And you give me a dead animal as a tip? What sort of gratitude is that? How dare you? Are you aware how much a Himalayan ferret will fetch at the Kathmandu market? Bug off, cried the taxi driver, and he walloped the ferret down on the trunk and walked out. You filthy piece of yak dung! Come back here, cried Great Uncle Jeremy as the man jumped into his car and screeched off. Pippa tugged Brian's sleeve and whispered in his ear. What's this one saying? Cried Great Uncle Jeremy, prodding Pippa with his cane. Pippa says, aren't the Himalayas where the abominable snowman comes from? Said Brian. I think she means the Yeti, said Mum. A Yeti? Said Dad, who was just coming back from the kitchen. What's this about a Yeti? Great Uncle Jeremy's reaction was very peculiar. He let out a shriek, and he looked as if someone had just caught him red-handed, nicking the King of Nepal's crown jewels. What happens next? Well, that was the first chapter of Yeti and on the Loose. You can get the book at the library or the bookshop if you want to read more. Or maybe if enough people like, then I might read some more. We'll see. Okay, I'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.